Today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by Hexclad. If you want to improve your dishware game while also getting 10% off these awesome pots and pans, go to hexclad.com/chatsports. I'll tell you more about them later on in this episode. But speaking of today's episode, we are talking stonks, baby, because we are 3 weeks in. So I thought this could be maybe a little bit on the early side, but a good time now that we have 3 games worth of data points to look at. Hey, whose stock is up? Whose stock is kind of down? So with that, let's get started with our first stock up, and it is Grant Delpit. You probably knew this one was coming when you clicked on the video because Grant Delpit has been flat out awesome. I mean, that is really the one-word summary of Grant Delpit in 2023. Awesome. 16 tackles, 2 pass breakups, 1 interception, and PFF has him ranked as the 3rd best safety in football out of 85 qualifying players. I honestly believe after Myles Garrett, and maybe even ahead of Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit has been the best player on this defense. Like, of course, Myles Garrett's been the best, but also, what's that one meme of like, maybe, I don't know. Like, Grant Delpit, he's been balling out. He's been flying across the field. He's been incredible. So with this, we kind of move on to the next part of the conversation, which is I want Grant Delpit in Cleveland for more than just 4 years of his rookie contract. And I would not be opposed for Andrew Berry to make a midseason contract extension. What could it look like? This might be on the higher side. Juan Thornhill signed a 3-year, $21 million contract for comparison. But what if you gave Grant Delpit a 4-year, $48 million extension? That's $12 million a season. You guarantee a little bit under half of it. So if things don't pan out for whatever reason, it's more like a 3-year, $22 million contract, which is basically what Juan Thornhill just got. So I'd love to see Grant Delpit stay in the dog pound for a long time. I mean, I'm filming this right now during our live show on Tuesday, and he was at a school today hanging out with kids, doing some charity work and whatnot. And that is just someone you want in your community for a long time. That's the kind of stuff that warms your heart up. So I want number 22 with the Browns for a very long time. So let me know, should the Browns extend Grant Delpit? It's all roses right now, so it's pretty easy to say yes. But if for whatever reason you don't think Grant Delpit is worth that kind of contract and that kind of longevity and commitment, you can disagree down below. I want to know your opinion, though. Stock down. Jedrick Wills. This is a tough conversation to have because it's a first-round pick at a very important position, the left tackle. But Jedrick Wills, unfortunately, is not improving. If anything, he might be regressing. It's still early, just 3 games in, and he faced some good defensive lines in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Tennessee, but he's been one of the worst tackles in football. He's ranked 64th out of 68. His overall grade is 47.3. For PFF, what I love to say is add 10, and that's kind of like your school letter grade. Could you imagine getting a 57 on your test and being one of the supposedly best students in the class, as your left tackle should be? The Browns picking up his 5th-year option at this point is looking like a big mistake by Andrew Berry. And I'm not going to harp on Andrew Berry too hard because there's no GM that bats 1,000. Every single GM has bad draft picks, has bad free agency moves. It's just a guessing game at times. And they get it wrong a lot. It happens. Go look at the best teams in football. Go look at the Bill Belichick drafted Patriots. They missed on guys. Unfortunately, I think this might be a miss for the Browns. Jedrick Wills is just not looking like a guy that you want to see stick around for another season on a very expensive tab as well. I was optimistic. I was, if anything, I wouldn't say supportive of picking up his 5th-year option. I just kind of knew the Browns were going to want to keep this offensive line together and not go searching for a new left tackle. And they didn't have a first-round pick next year, so they weren't going to be able to get a really good one in the draft. And they might not have wanted to break the bank one for one in free agency. So Jedrick Wills, for his price tag, was sort of their best option. But James Hudson, for 18 less the cost, could be doing just as good a job as Jedrick Wills is at this point. Now, before we get on to the rest of my stock up, stock down, it is time to talk about your kitchen. And no, I'm not talking about your roommate's dishes in the sink. Today's sponsor, Hexclad, has revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. Go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off. Hexclad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. Now, you don't have to just take my word for it. For example, you might have heard of this guy. His name is Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay also uses them at home too, saying, the sear I can get with these pans is incredible with absolutely no stick. The temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. They're also the sexiest pans on the market, so you can score some points at home as well. It's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with Hexclad. Real cuisine is not made in the microwave, believe it or not. It's cooked in a Hexclad. So for a limited time, get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. That link is also in the comments and the description of today's video. My second stock up player, I'm going to go with JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He has been lighting it up so far this season. He has been one of the best players on this defense, which, let's be honest, everyone's been balling out on defense. There's no stock down for any player on defense at this moment. But JOK has really caught my eye. I know 13 tackles and 3 tackles for loss might not jump out to you, and the casuals would just look at that and go, what are you talking about, Petey? What am I talking about? The guy's run defense has dramatically improved, 71.7. He's got 7 stops on the season. He's got an overall grade of 72.7 from Pro Football Focus. He's a top 3rd linebacker so far in the season. JOK and this entire linebacker unit in general has been awesome. Look at Anthony Walker and Takitaki. All 3 of these guys, for crying out loud, coming off injured reserve from last season. And all 3 players are not skipping a beat to start this year. All 3 players are playing their best season of their NFL careers thus far. Sure, small sample size, prisoner of the moment, I get it. But I love what I've seen out of JOK. And Walker and Takitaki, they might not be players that get long-term contracts with this team, but I hope JOK can play himself into one. Because I'd love to have a young nucleus of Grant Delpit, JOK, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Myles Garrett, of course, the future of this Browns defense. Now, before we get on to the rest of my stock up, stock down players, make sure you tune in for our Week 4 watch party against the Ravens. I'm smelling a big game. I'm smelling a Jim Schwartz masterclass. I'm smelling Jadeveon Clowney only wants to play on 3rd downs and is a non-factor in this game. OBJ might not play. We'll have to wait and see what his injury status is, but make sure to tune in for our watch party. It's going to be a great time. My second stock down, I'm going to go with DPJ. I'm reaching for this one because you could make an argument to just have stock up across the board, but it's not all roses. This team is 2-1. This team is not where we want to be at the end of the year. Hopefully they continue to improve, and I need to see improvement from Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's the 3rd wide receiver on this totem pole right now, and he was supposed to compete with Elijah Moore for the 2nd spot, and he's quickly losing that battle, right? DPJ only really got involved in the offense in Week 3, which, hey, you can kind of put that on Deshaun Watson if you want to, but it's early. We're only 3 games into the season, but this is a contract year for DPJ, and he is making Cleveland's decision a lot easier with the numbers he's put up so far. So if DPJ wants to have a long-term spot with the Browns moving forward, he's got to pick up his play a little bit. And I understand you can put some of that on the offensive line, Deshaun Watson, but at the end of the day, you got to get numbers. That's just the way the NFL works. You got to get results, and so we need to see more from DPJ. Moving on to my final stock up player. There are a lot of players you could have gone here. Denzel Ward has been one of the best corners so far in football. Myles Garrett, of course. But Za'Darius Smith, someone that Browns fans didn't quite know what to expect this season, right? He had over 10 sacks last year with the Vikings, but he had all of them in the first half of the year, and then a knee injury pretty much made him obsolete the second half of the season. Well, I'm here to say Za'Darius Smith looks like he is back to that kind of 10-sack caliber player. The sacks might not be there right now, but they're coming. The guy has 9 pressures so far. To me, this is kind of like the OPS of baseball, where sure, batting average is the one that a lot of people look for, but I look deeper. I want to know pressures, right? If you're a hockey fanatic, this is like pucks on net, shots on goal. They might not be going in immediately, but the pucks are going to start to get through the goalie, right? Start to get through that sieve, right? So you look at the three big edge rushers for Cleveland. Myles Garrett leading the way with 18 pressures. That's no surprise. But look at Za'Darius Smith. 9 pressures, still looking for that first sack, but he's been close. He almost had Joe Burrow on the first play of the game of the season. Owusu-Koramoah, he's also been phenomenal. It's a blessing to work opposite of 95, and you can see how it pays off. He's got 1.5 sacks and 5 pressures and 3 tackles for loss. So with that being said, this is not really Browns related too much, but is Andrew Berry going to be the cause for the Vikings GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, losing his job? Because the Browns kind of looked like they fleeced the Vikings for Za'Darius Smith. Like, I get it right now. You look at the sacks, you see a big fat donut. You don't think that's an all-time fleece, but it was a day 3 pick swap. And the Vikings could use all the help they can get on both sides of the football right now. And moving on from Za'Darius Smith is not looking like a good move for Minnesota. So maybe this could be a short-lived GM stint for Kwesi up in Minnesota, and he comes back to the Browns after that. Who knows? But I do want to know from this question on screen, which offseason addition has been the most impressive so far in your opinion? Is it Elijah Moore, Za'Darius Smith, Juan Thornhill, one of the rookies, I guess? Let me know down below in the comment section which offseason addition has been the most pleasant surprise in your eyes. That's going to do it for us on this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot. I appreciate all of our viewers taking time out of their day to come hang out with me. If you want more Browns content, I'm over on Twitter at Matthew Petey.